The diner was unusually quiet that afternoon, the kind of silence that feels heavy, the kind that only exists before something unforgettable happens. The rain outside tapped against the windows, soft yet relentless, while a lonely old woman in a wheelchair sat near the corner booth. Her grey hair was tied neatly, her wrinkled hands trembled slightly as she tried to hold her cup of tea. She wasn't just another customer, she was someone the regulars knew by sight. Her name was Martha, a retired schoolteacher who came every Saturday, always alone, always with the same soft smile that hid years of pain no one truly knew. If you believe in kindness, respect, and second chances, please take a second to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us how humanity can still shine even in the darkest moments. That day, a group of loud teenagers burst into the diner. Their laughter echoed through the small place, careless and cruel. They ordered milkshakes and fries, mocking the waitresses, tossing napkins, and acting like the world was theirs to ruin. Most customers lowered their heads, pretending not to hear, the way people often do when they fear trouble. But Martha, in her quiet way, just smiled and said softly to the waitress, "Don't worry, dear. They'll grow up someday." Her voice carried the warmth of a mother, yet that warmth was met with nothing but ice. One of the boys overheard her. "What did you say, Grandma?" he sneered, swaggering toward her. His friends laughed, sensing a show. "Maybe you should mind your own business," he added, his tone sharp. Martha, unshaken, looked up at him. "Kindness never hurt anyone, son," she replied gently. "But cruelty often feeds on kindness, and he couldn't handle her calm." With a smirk, he leaned in, pretending to whisper something, then suddenly slapped her across the face. The sound cracked through the diner like thunder. Her cup fell, tea spilling across the table. As she gasped in shock, the diner froze. The waitress screamed. The boys laughed, and the old woman sat there, stunned, a hand over her cheek, tears welling in her tired eyes. No one moved, no one spoke. The manager, a timid man, whispered, "Please leave," but his voice trembled too weakly to carry any authority. The group snickered and swaggered back to their booth, bragging about their joke. Martha didn't fight back. She simply turned her wheelchair toward the window, her reflection pale and broken. The world outside looked cold, indifferent, and she felt the weight of it. Decades ago, she had stood tall as a teacher, inspiring countless children. But age, illness, and loneliness had slowly taken her strength. That slap didn't just sting her skin, it shattered her heart. For the next hour, the diner felt haunted. The bullies stayed, laughing and taunting anyone who dared look their way. Martha remained still, her eyes red, her spirit dimming with each passing minute. The waitress tried to comfort her, but she simply whispered, "It's all right, dear. They don't know what they're doing." Then, the sound of motorcycles roared in the distance. It started faint, like a storm brewing, then grew louder, deeper, until the walls of the diner vibrated. Everyone turned their heads toward the window. Outside, 4 massive bikes pulled in, engines rumbling like thunder. The door swung open, and 4 men in leather jackets walked in, their faces weathered, eyes cold and alert. They were bikers. Not the kind that sought trouble, but the kind that carried it when necessary. The leader, a tall man with a shaved head and piercing blue eyes, scanned the room in silence. The bullies went quiet for the first time all afternoon. The waitress froze, unsure what to say. Martha looked up, surprised, recognizing the emblem on their jackets. The Iron Guardians. Years ago, she'd taught one of their members' sons. They weren't a gang. They were a club known for protecting local communities. The leader, Ray, stepped forward. "Who did this?" he asked, his voice low but commanding. No one answered, but the red mark on Martha's cheek told the story. He turned to the group of teenagers. "Was it you?" The boys exchanged glances, trying to act tough. One laughed nervously. "Old lady had it coming," he muttered, looking away. In that moment, the air grew thick. Ray's jaw tightened, his fists clenched, and without saying a word, he walked over to Martha. Kneeling beside her, he gently placed a hand on her trembling one. "Ma'am," he said softly, I'm sorry you had to go through this. No one touches someone like you. Not in my town." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you, son." Ray stood, turning to the bullies, and what happened next wasn't violent. It was justice in its purest form. He didn't raise a hand, he didn't shout. Instead, he ordered his men to block the exit. Then, with calm authority, he told the boys to sit down. "You're going to listen," he said. "You think you're strong because you can hurt someone weaker? You've got no idea what strength is." He told them stories, real stories, about soldiers who lost their limbs defending strangers, about women like Martha who spent their lives teaching kids like them to read, to dream, to be better. His voice shook the room, not with anger, but with conviction. The boys sat silently, guilt creeping into their eyes. Every scar on that woman's face, Ray continued, comes from years of giving. She taught kids who became doctors, soldiers, fathers. And this is what she gets, a slap from cowards? One of the boys whispered, "We didn't mean to," but Ray cut him off gently. "You did, but you can choose what you mean next." He made them apologize, not just with words, but with action. He ordered them to clean every table, refill every cup, and personally serve Martha's meal again. At first, they hesitated, but the shame in their faces grew as the entire diner watched. The same. People who had been silent before now nodded approvingly. As the boys cleaned, Martha whispered to Ray, "You didn't have to do this." He smiled softly. "Yes, ma'am, I did, because someone once did it for me." Turns out years ago, Ray had been one of those boys, angry, reckless, lost. And it was an old woman like Martha who'd shown him kindness when no one else would. She was the reason he'd turned his life around. When the cleaning was done, Ray's crew paid for everyone's meals, even the bullies. "Let this be a lesson," he said. "Strength isn't in hurting people, it's in protecting them." The boys quietly approached Martha. One of them knelt down, tears brimming. "I'm sorry," he said, voice breaking. "I didn't know." Martha placed a gentle hand on his cheek. The same cheek that once carried arrogance, now flushed with regret. "You know now, dear," she whispered. "That's what matters." As the bikers prepared to leave, the entire diner stood and clapped. Not because of violence, but because justice, true human justice, had been restored in that little corner of the world. Outside, as Ray started his bike, Martha wheeled closer to the window and waved. He nodded once, the sunlight glinting off his helmet as he and his crew rode away, engines roaring like guardian angels disappearing into the distance. That night, the boys didn't sleep. Guilt has a way of keeping you awake. By morning, they returned to the diner, not to eat, but to help. They scrubbed the floors, repaired broken chairs, and brought flowers for Martha's table. When she arrived later that afternoon, they greeted her with quiet smiles. She said nothing, just smiled back, eyes filled with forgiveness. Sometimes, a single act of cruelty can awaken the better part of us, but only if someone strong enough stands for what's right. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to keep these real emotional stories alive. We tell them because they remind us that goodness still exists, even in the most unexpected places. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what does kindness mean to you? Because sometimes one small act of kindness can echo louder than 1,000 wrongs.